punts.
I can change my skin.
Then skins.
Dr. Decker dated his patients.
I had a hot date.
We went out for drinks.
I took photos of Jessica.
Dr. Decker did
On
phone
Valentine's Day.
and ask me for Nathan's number. There was a girl there.
Am I wrong to keep the locket?
I'm allowed to talk to her, aren't I? He was preoccupied with finding
Photographs.
patterns.
Rocking chair.
I haven't been back to the beach since,
I had a bit of a shaky loop incident.
where I find something
I set fire
beautiful in the sea.
to Hannah's clothes in the garden. I dug the grave.
I wish I'd said goodbye.
Dr. Decker cursed me.
It didn't weigh enough to have a body in it.
Fine. I'm ready for my grief counselling. I emailed you Mariana's address. I don't know why you'd want it. I suppose you're going to start doing home visits now, like Dr. Decker? Doctor, if you don't want it, don't text me and ask for it. It's all right. I don't mind doing menial tasks for you. Someone has to do them. Well, maybe someone sneaked your phone during a session and texted. I know they all look innocent, but if it's not nailed down, there's a good chance they'll walk away with it. You know, I used to have an iPad. And a Surface. Yes, Dr. Decker started doing home visits for Mariana. He said she couldn't concentrate properly in his office. I hope you're not thinking of doing the same thing. I need you right where I can see you. Honestly, I think Dr. Decker had a bit of a crush on Mariana, or vice versa. I'm not really sure. There's some footage from their home sessions if you want to see them. Somebody needs to be watching the watchman, so to speak. Make sure you're helping, not hindering. He probably did his fair share of helping and hindering. He was definitely helping in the beginning, but then seemed to lose sight of things. I think he was so overwhelmed by the patients he was getting. His curiosity just got the better of him. There was a definite turning point. Somewhere around the time Professor Alderby turned up, that seemed to unsettle him. And then we had a flood of extra weird patients. I think it was all too much for him. I think I misjudged him. I hope you deal with it better. Grief is such a strange word if you keep saying it. Grief, grief, grief. It sounds like somebody's being whipped. Oops, that was a strange thing to say, wasn't it? Whipped. Am I all whips and chains in the bedroom or dominant in the boardroom? Don't answer that, it's not a question. It's early days for a harassment suit yet, what with Ben's nervous shock already. I think that's all settled now. We are agreeing to pay Ben £5,000 and he's agreeing not to say anything about what he saw. He thought he saw a creature coming out of Dr. Decker's mouth. Well, at least that's the reason he's given for not emptying the bins that night. Either way, it's not the kind of publicity that we need. Shiny, happy, sane people. Some mornings I come into work and still expect him to be here. Sometimes it feels like he actually is here, watching over me. We had a connection. It's gone now, though. You can't have a connection with the dead, can you? Not for too long, anyway. Dr. Decker asked me to have dinner with him for Valentine's. I refused, obviously, because you don't sleep where you eat or something like that. But it was flattering, especially with competition like Mariana around. I didn't mean I was competing. I was happy Mariana was going out with him. I didn't want to be romantic with him. We had a stronger connection than that. I have no idea what they did and when they did it. I'm happy to keep it that way too. We'd both read The Cult of the Kinetic Mind and we agreed with a lot of what it said. Have you read that book, Doctor? Cult of the Kinetic Mind. The author suggests that everyone is capable of psychokinesis and that the cult leaders specifically had these powers that turned their followers into disciples. It's not a fun read, but if you're into psychology, it's a blast. Followers and disciples have a very strong tie to their cult leaders, almost like they've been brainwashed. The author suggests that this is because they've witnessed some kind of psychokinesis, like pyrokinesis or telekinesis. Psychokinesis is the ability to change the physical world without actually touching it, just by using your mind. It's not just about bending spoons. It covers all sorts of things like telepathy, telekinesis, telesabalas. Shoot me, I'm a Kojak fan. If you ever get a patient who thinks they can change the world with just their mind, then duck, just in case they can. But seriously, do a whole load of shrinking and make them better. Whether you believe in psychokinesis or not, you'll need to figure out your approach with those that do. Dr. Decker had an unusual number of patients who claimed psychokinesis. Either he'd been specifically looking for them or someone had been sending them. It's entirely possible that someone is targeting this practice with psychokinetic patients. To what end, I don't know. It's no coincidence that most psychokinetic patients are diagnosed as insane, or at least temporarily insane. It's a handy diagnosis if you're facing criminal prosecution, especially if it's for murder. Dr. Decker did send me to see his mother once. She was dying in a nursing home and he didn't want to see her. I remember him calling her a manipulative, evil old hag. You tend not to ask any more questions after that. Most of the patients you're seeing have claimed some kind of psychokinesis. If you don't think that's the case, then they just haven't told you yet.
Fine. Work's fine. Hilda's fading fast. Terry's Terry. Oh, you'd be pleased to know I don't have the locket anymore. I gave it back. All of it. Every single keepsake. She's been sleeping a lot, not eating much. She hasn't been that argumentative either. Although, she did give me a vicious scratch yesterday. I was just trying to give her meds. It's hard, you know. I'm trying to help her, but she keeps fighting me. It'll be better after she's seen her daughter. I've decided I'm going to do it tonight. She hasn't got much time left. I know, it sounds unbelievable, like I'm making it up. I wish I could prove it to you somehow. We could try shifting now. Think of someone you really love. It might help if you close your eyes. Are you thinking of them? Can you picture them? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I don't think it's gonna work. On the bright side, that probably means you're not going to die anytime soon. As far as I know, it only works on people who are close to death. That's the whole point of it. I have to hold their hand, and they have to think of the person, and they have to be near death. And those seem to be the 3 criteria. I mean, I'll sound exactly like Hilda's daughter, but I try and keep it vague because I don't become her. I don't know what she would really say. I say things like, it's okay, don't be scared, I love you, Mum, or I love you, Dad. But it doesn't really matter what their relationship's like because it's not really them. I always do the Disney version. The best, most loving version. That's what my patients want to hear. And maybe deep down they know it's not the truth, but it's got to be better than the reality. Isn't it worth it if it brings them peace? Tell me honestly, Doctor, do you really think that what I'm doing is wrong? Because I really feel this is something I have to do, like it's my calling or something. But you said I shouldn't have kept them. And what with Terry going around telling everyone I stole them, I didn't feel like I really had any choice. The lockets, the watch, the ring. But I kept the little bird Sarah Decker gave me. I wasn't supposed to mention her. Dr. Decker's mother. She was one of my first patients, but she died a while ago. It just makes things complicated, doesn't it? I knew Dr. Decker's mother before I started seeing Dr. Decker. She's dead, and now he's dead. I'm sure you're going to have a field day with it. Yeah, that's the reason I came to see him. I knew she was dying, but he refused to talk to me unless I booked a session, so I did. And well, here we are. I told Dr. Decker that his mum was dying, that he should see her before it's too late. But he wasn't interested. It wasn't like he hated her, it was just like it wasn't important. He asked me to take care of it for him. He did send his assistant along to see her once. Sorry, your assistant. Second, third session we had. He said he could tell that I was a good person, that I wanted to help people, and that I should think really hard about how I could do that. That's how I discovered shifting. All Dr. Decker did was encourage me to think. But the shifting, that's all me. And my mum's a psychic, and my sister's an empath, but I was just ordinary. I always felt like I wasn't special, like I was missing out. But I wasn't. I just hadn't discovered what I could do yet. Sarah Decker was one of the first ones I tried shifting for. I didn't really know what I was doing that first time. I mean, I didn't actually expect anything to happen. I just thought, what would really help this woman? I thought maybe she would just imagine that he was there. But it actually happened. I changed into him, Dr. Decker. It blew my mind. My mum's got these spirit guides and they tell her things. Mostly about my love life, it would seem. To tell you the truth, I don't really know what an empath is. I should probably Google it sometime. I've only worked at the nursing home for the last year. I tend to move around quite a bit. I get quite fidgety if I stay in the same place too long. I wasn't really stressed about work. Well, maybe a little, but not enough to need a therapist. I just told you that because I didn't want you to know the real reason why I came to see Dr. Decker. It's probably nothing. I'm not right all the time. It's just, well, yes, your energy's different. And I was also worried about what I might change into. It's just, I get a sense that I probably shouldn't say, but, well, just think what it would mean for you if I'd been able to shift. I don't know, murky and sort of a bit crackly at the same time. Like there's a lot of electricity around you. It's hard to describe. I've had a couple of bad experiences while shifting. I don't really want to talk about all that now though. Terry seems to have backed down since I gave the keepsakes back. Actually, it doesn't seem like she's been very well. Not her usual self. Maybe she's got a bug or something. It's true then. I'd heard Dr. Decker was stabbed, but I didn't know for sure. It's weird that whoever did it would choose the paper spike. Dr. Decker used to play with it in our sessions sometimes. You know, pick it up, handle it while we talked. I remember once, he pushed the spike through his skin. Yeah, this bit here between his thumb and his finger. He said he didn't think I'd mind the sight of blood being a nurse and all that, but actually, there wasn't any. A bit freaked out. At first, I thought it was a trick. A magic trick, you know? like some kind of therapeutic test. Show the patient this retractable spike and see how they react. But it wasn't. The spike was real. Dr. Decker gave me the paper spike to try. It wasn't fake. It was pretty sharp, actually. I don't know how he did it. He said he just thought that it wouldn't hurt him, so it didn't. If a mother abandons her children, it's scandalous. But if a son or daughter abandons their mother when she's dying after everything she's done for them, apparently that's just normal. I can protect my patients from that, even if it does take a little smoke and mirrors, and I'm just reflecting back to them what they want to see. I completely change. My face, my hair, my clothes, my voice, everything. The rules are that you're not supposed to give a patient anything that isn't on their charts. But I talked it over with Hilda first, and she was happy to try the herbal approach. It's fine. It's not going to hurt her. And the doctors at the home don't care much. They're hardly around anyway. It's the nurses that take care of the patients. Besides, Dr. Decker didn't have a problem with it. We talked about it once. He said I should do what I wanted and not worry about what anyone else thought.
I burned the photos of Hannah. It didn't work. I suppose because the loss was superficial. The next thing I burned was the rocking chair. That worked. I've been getting rid of her stuff ever since. There was a day when I attacked a Salvation Army bin, but I gave in. I accidentally put Hannah's diary into a Salvation Army donation bin. They're like huge post boxes with a circular tray that makes sure things spill to the bottom. I tried to get in to get it back, but I gave up. I read the last few weeks of Hannah's diary a while ago. I must have accidentally dropped in some clothes for the Salvation Army bin. It's funny because I wasn't going to read it. She said she'd fallen out of love with me, that she was going to break off the engagement, that she didn't love me anymore. I regretted it. It's still sinking in. I suppose living a lie is just the norm nowadays. I regretted that I mourned for Hannah so long. I regret the grief. I regret all the days I slept through because of it. Had I known she didn't love me anymore, things would have been different. I'm a bit angry now. If I had that day over again, I may just still pull out in front of the driver. Like I said, it takes something like a tragic event to move my day forward. I do more and more bizarre things to try and get things moving. It's a curse, like I said. I cut myself, I publicly humiliate myself, I steal things, I hurt people around me, just enough to get another day to start. I ran out of people around me pretty quickly. He'd become bored of me, so I got much of my insight from calls or messages he'd take during our sessions. I think because he hypnotized me, he didn't want to play with me anymore, so I got basic therapist. He told me lots of people get depression, to become more active, see more people. And although he wouldn't always be there to listen, Jaya would be. Yeah, I talked to her quite a lot. I'm not sure how many days of that she'd remember. She seemed to care, which is more I can say for Decker. You told me not to look for anyone else until I was ready, so I didn't. I've just been sitting at home, reading Hannah's diary, stewing. I ordered a pizza. A nice girl delivered it. It took a week of days to get that pizza girl to smile. And you know what did it? A tip, as much as the pizza cost. So money does make you happy. I didn't notice Dr. Decker had a paper spike. I haven't really seen more than a foot in front of me since Hannah died. I didn't kill Dr. Decker. I wanted to be as far away from him as possible. I don't know who did. I've told you all I know about Dr. Decker. He started out good, then turned a bit crazy towards the end. When you start giving people more problems as a therapist, that's a bit crazy. I started out with depression. Now I seem to repeat days. Even if you don't believe the repeat days, then I clearly have extra mental health problems that he's given me. I think that he possibly cursed other people, a bit like he cursed me. Sometimes you could see he was bursting to tell me about it, but he couldn't. He was ecstatic with the power. I was hoping he'd forget. It's going to sound crazy. Dr. Decker said I would never be able to move forward until I came to terms with my grief. And so from this point on, I'd start to relive the same day over and over again until I made something of it. I believed him. I remember I said, "You can't just say things and they happen." He laughed and laughed. I think he was going mad. He said he'd give me a demonstration. He held his hand outstretched and told me to look at the flame. There was no flame, and then there was. He was holding a flame in his hand that had come out of nowhere. And he tried to hypnotize me to make me forget it. I didn't forget seeing the flame. He wanted me to forget it all, but I didn't. For whatever reason, he couldn't undo what he'd done. I was scared. I pretended like the hypnosis had worked. I was scared what Dr. Decker would do to me if he found out I still knew. So I had to play along, keep coming to the sessions, pretend I hadn't seen what he'd done. It was awful, because I was suffering through the same days over and over again, but I couldn't talk to him about it, because he'd know.
I'm okay. Thanks for asking. It's rent day, and I always feel a little blue on rent day. Rent day is the day I pay rent to my landlady. I don't own my own place, I'm just passing through. I guess someone thought they weren't getting value for money. I actually don't have a lot of money. Sometimes a therapy check would bounce, but Dr. Decker would be okay with it. Oh, my checks are fine though, don't worry. I'm not broke. Men buy me drinks at bars though. Sometimes I'll get away with not paying at restaurants. Isn't that how it is for everybody? It's just good manners to accept when someone offers to buy you a drink. I'm a very good-natured girl. Don't you think I'm sweet, Doctor? I think you're falling for me, Doctor. Don't let that get in the way of helping me. I don't like crowds, and I find it difficult to stay in the same place for too long. I guess I'm a fidget. Crowds at nightclubs and bars are different. The lights are dim. You can slink around without attracting too much attention. Sometimes I'll kiss a guy in a club, and then he just follows me wherever I go. It's creepy. I don't want everyone seeing that. They follow me wherever I go. Anywhere. Where do you think they follow me, Doctor? It depends where they follow me. If they follow me home, they bang on the door for an hour or so, then leave. Other places, they just disappear. I don't see them again. They don't just disappear into thin air. I think they return to the place I found them. But I've not run into the same person twice. Let's talk dreams. Sometimes I'll dream about a light, deep in the ocean somewhere. I head towards it because it's warm and glowing, like a beacon. And when I'm at the bottom, it's the most beautiful thing, like a welcoming sun, like I'm home. And then I wake up. It's so beautiful. It calls me. It's like I'm in a trance. What does the dream mean, Doctor? I guess. I hate being in the same place for too long. Maybe I'm always searching for paradise or something. I've had no blackouts, and I haven't been to the beach since our last session. But I think I will today. Do you want to come with me to the beach? If you ever wanted to visit the beach, you can just turn up. It's not mine. It's silent. It's like a trance. There was one guy, a real gym body, I let him into the bedroom, but nothing. Nothing I did would stop him just staring at me. It was creepy. I got him to follow me outside, and then I just shut the door. But I don't know what they want. I'm not a siren, it's just how some guys are. I tried it with a woman too. She followed me. If a lot of people are watching, then it doesn't work. If I kiss somebody and a lot of people are watching, they don't follow me. Too embarrassed, I guess. I don't want people to follow me. I'm not trying to get them to do anything. I never stay in one town very long. I get bored too easily. Once you've seen the same faces over and over again, you move. Like I said before, I like to move around a lot. I've got a short attention span. The malaise of our generation, I expect. What are you bored by, Doctor? You should get out more, Doctor. Looking at me all day should be fun, but if you're bored, perhaps we should spend some time apart. Dr. Decker suggested home visits. I think he was probably checking up on his investment. You're not thinking of doing home visits, are you, Doctor? I can't afford any more sessions, so it sounds like you'll be paying. That's a date, isn't it, Doctor? I'm not sure that's appropriate. Siren? Mermaid? Do you think I could really be one? Aren't we all your investments, Doctor? All the time, all the energy you've invested in us? Seeing how we're doing, making sure we're growing correctly? He called it aversion therapy. Whenever I felt the urge to go to the sea, he would do something unpleasant. I don't know what you'd call it, but it was unpleasant for me.
You can stop looking at me like that. You've made me do this. And don't try and escape. You're all tied up. Now tell me the truth. Is this a dream? That's a good doctor. Yes, it's all a big dream. So let's get down to business. Do you believe that people can have kinetic powers? How do we treat people with kinetic powers? Do we encourage them or do we discourage them? Very good, doctor. That's the right answer. Remember it or there will be consequences. Now, since I'm here, let's have a little bit of fun. Shall we, doctor? Morning, doctor. You're looking a bit unwell. Are they getting you all wound up? Well, have a look at this. I found it in Dropbox. Apparently, Dr. Decker lent Mariana some money. Sounds dodgy, doesn't it? I also got the toxicology report back from Officer Yates, and shocker, Dr. Decker had... Sorry, you just have to read it. I should have spoiler alert tattooed on my forehead. And can we not do the grief counselling thing today? I'm all sorts of behind on work and I'm getting more stressed out watching it all pile up. If you need anything though, I'm here.
Scarlett, I haven't been in since he died. Since Dr. Decker died. His external persona didn't match what he dreamed about. His dreams were amazing, filled with a spectrum of colours and creatures. It was like Narnia for grown-ups. That was in the beginning. I'm a dream walker. I can visit people and help them in their dreams. You've not caught up on all his old patients yet then? Soft, intricate things. I couldn't draw a picture if you asked, but they drew you to them. They looked a little strange, but you felt compelled to watch them. Chaotic, dark. Like an earthquake, everything you stood on shifted into something else. I think he was fighting with something internally, and it was winning. Inner demons? Insanity? I don't know. I can visit dreams, but I can't force the dreamer to interact with me. It's something I've been able to do since I was little. I was born an identical twin, and my sister and I shared dreams. We just thought it was normal. When our younger brother started having night terrors, we helped him. I just need to know the person, a little, and know they're dreaming. Then I can sort of jump into them. It's something, I think, in my mind. Firstly, I need to sleep myself. I'm constantly tired, so I can pretty much sleep on demand. Before I go, I think of jumping into that person. That's how it works for me. I've tried teaching others, but I don't know if anyone else can do it. Whenever I get close enough to tell somebody about it, the first thing they want to do is try it out or have me visit their dreams. That's kind of why I'm here. Relationships. It's difficult to sustain them. I'm not just talking about romantic entanglements. It's hard keeping friends too. Like I said before, I tell them about my ability and they immediately want to try it out. The problem is, I don't normally like what I see. I think people try to show off. Firstly, they're a bit shocked if I turn up in their dream. But when they're comfortable with that, they start to put on a show. But most people can't control their dreams, so they tend to turn into nightmares pretty quickly. Oh look, I'm dreaming of a giant Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Oh, why is it destroying New York? When you've experienced someone's dream, if they've been a bit creepy in it or terrified me, it's hard to look someone in the eyes after that. It's embarrassing. What should I do, Doctor? Should I not tell people about my ability? Keep it a secret, bottle it up? What if it accidentally comes out? Is there anything else I can do to stop pushing people away? If I could breathe through my ears, you wouldn't want to see it. I do say no. A lot. But I usually cave eventually. Perhaps this session is a dream, Doctor. I don't see anyone else around. Do you? Double honest. Interesting. I suppose I haven't really tried that. I might just give that a go. It's difficult to do when you experience them like I do. But I know what you're saying is right. A lot of the time I assume people are controlling their dreams like I can. But they're probably directed by their subconscious, and who controls that? He's dead now, so I suppose it won't affect him if I admit that. So yes, I was. Not near the end, though. Not when his dreams started changing. Like I said, my ability ruins relationships. Who told you? Jaya? Just thought she'd know. Thought she'd know everything about her precious Dr. Decker. Sorry, we didn't speak that much. But she was a lot like the other woman. So much control over someone who was supposed to be her superior. Valentine's Day was awful. I had a bit of an accident with a creme brulee torch and had to spend the night waiting in A&E. I melted a nail to my finger. It hurt a lot and needed stitches. It's all fine now, though.
Sorry, I'm Glenn. I didn't expect to be here. I was looking for the men's room. I was in the green room. You know, that new restaurant in town. I actually need to do something. Done. Sorry. I was in the middle of a date and needed the restroom, and here I am. Sorry, you're not familiar with my case. I stepped through the restroom door into your office. Sometimes when I go through a door, it opens to another place. Dr. Decker was crazy. I arrived late to the party. Apparently he was a fine, upstanding citizen before. I don't know what changed him. Of the few sessions I had with him, he'd observed me walking through doors. But I'd walk through a door and I'd disappear. Then I couldn't get back. The session was £150 either way, so I paid that for a couple of times and then decided it was a bad idea. As you can see, it's still happening. I'm still vanishing from one place to another. My dad died. He was on his deathbed and I was complaining about work, women or whatever. It was an idiom. He said, when one door closes, another opens. Then he died. I needed those words to be important. So here I am. He was stoic. He had tuberculosis in his lungs. That's what killed him. Nobody knew until the end. I never got to say I loved him. He'd split with my mum 3 years earlier. It was messy. It was bad. I didn't talk to him really at all. They called me as next of kin, said I should come in if I wanted to say goodbye. I did love him. He just broke everything. I hadn't seen him for so long. I just let it all out. I screamed, I shouted, I punched the walls. Do you know what he said? Sorry. Over and over again. Like he really meant it. He did. He really meant it. And when I stopped, when I was exhausted, he smiled at me. Like he cherished me. Like he'd been waiting to say sorry. Waiting for forgiveness. I didn't get to say I loved him. I didn't get to forgive him. He just said when one door closes, another opens. And then he died. What does he think of me? All those years, thinking I was the bigger man. It turns out he was. There's no going back, is there, Doctor? When one door closes, it's shut forever? How? How do I go back? I've been trying to address the symptoms and not the root of the problem. You might be the best replacement doctor this place has seen. I'll book a real appointment next time, and you can help me with this. Thanks, Doctor. I hadn't thought of that. I've just been thinking when I open a door, it goes somewhere else in the present, not in the past. Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. I'll try that. Now. I'll try that now.
There's no lake house today, sorry. David's not doing very well. He's caused a problem with the girl. I need to do something. David hasn't been well, otherwise I'd taken you. Shall I bring him to you next time? Next time then. Although it will have to be just you here, and late at night. I can't have anyone else see him. Our neighbour at the lake house, she says David is weird and creepy.
Doctor! Oh, sorry, but I found some of the referral letters we were talking about. There is a pattern, but it's not the same for everyone. He said to get them to you ASAP, so here you go.
David has been hunting and skinning again, but from the look of the torso, he caught a domestic cat. I'm being generous. It was definitely a cat. I spoke to David about it, but I have no idea if he can comprehend me or not. He just grunts at me. He doesn't even smile anymore. Not at all. Yes, sorry. I left out an important detail. The girl, Anushka, she was crying because her cat had gone missing, and she thinks that David killed it. Doctor, I'm worried. David's not going to stop at cats. He's killed deer, rabbits, wild birds, and now cats. I'm worried he might add little girls to his list. Ever since I brought him back from the dead, he has done nothing but ignore me. I'm starting to think that I've never used sleeping pills. I'm too afraid of what would happen to me in my sleep. If Dr. Decker was an alcoholic, he hid it well. I never saw him drink. He certainly never offered me a drink. God knows I could have used one. I never talked to Tobias, but I did talk to Iris. I told her who saved her and that it was a patient here. She broke down on the phone. Most unbecoming. I wonder what kind of gift basket he'll get. From a few weeks ago. As you can see, Doctor, he looks perfectly normal. Dr. Decker was very quiet in our sessions after seeing David. After a while, he started talking about David like he was a pet, asking me what I fed him, what he'd do in certain conditions. I think he was fascinated with it all, and David and I had become new test subjects for him. When I said David never listens to me, he urged me to start giving David treats for pleasing me. Not in that way, but showing him how to close a door, for example. If he did it, give him a treat. It did actually work, but I had to stop myself. I felt like I was training a monkey. It just wasn't right. Dr. Decker asked me if I'd ever accidentally locked David in. which I hadn't, but curiosity got the better of me, so I locked him in the lake house. He couldn't get out. He didn't have the wherewithal to operate the lock. My solicitors did refer me, but I ended up going privately as it was cheaper. I'm paying them enough already without them getting a percentage of my therapy bill. I spoke to her again. She wouldn't tell me her name, which is quite right, I am a stranger after all. So I gave her the name Anushka. She said the man that lives in the lake house is weird and creepy. I can't say something and he does it. And besides, how would I show him not to kill a little girl? Slap him on the nose? It's too late for David. That I need to end his suffering. That I need to kill him again. I love him so much. But you're right. It's time. He's becoming a danger to people around him, not just himself.
I'm feeling good. I ran into one of your other patients, Mariana. She's beautiful. I think we might go on a date. Can't really explain it, but she seems like such a friendly person. I think the police are barking up the wrong tree. I think I've probably said too much. It's probably not the same girl anyway. I don't, but people at work talk about it. Missing people, dead bodies. The police are looking for a redhead apparently. Temazepam is the same sleeping pill Dr. Decker prescribed me. Why would he mix those with alcohol? People are such idiots. Which reminds me, that truck driver died. Alcohol isn't something I usually notice on people until they're slurring and weaving around. Was Dr. Decker an alcoholic? Probably. I never saw him drink though. What are you trying to do most? Cure his patients or find out who killed him? Do you know that Dr. Decker thought one of his patients was trying to kill him? He told me in one of our sessions, which was later rewound, that someone had been leaving him messages on his prescription pad. Not good messages. Just death threats. It was one of his many rants. I just sat there quietly, hoping he wasn't going to try and hypnotise me again. I asked him if it was a boy or a girl's handwriting. He said he knew who it was, and that they'd be in trouble. I think he was bluffing. I don't think he knew who was behind the death threats, or he'd have stopped it. The truck driver that ran into Hannah. He was divorced apparently. He killed himself. He mixed sleeping pills with alcohol too, but he died in his garage. I read it in the paper. He'd been drinking. Then he took the sleeping pills. Then he went into his garage and put the hose pipe through his window. Not until he put his daughter in the seat first. It's one of those newspaper stories you read and you hope it says he leaves behind his wife and 7-year-old daughter. But his daughter was in the car. Do you know I wrote him a letter? Dr. Decker told me one of the ways to get through my grief would be to write a letter to the truck driver. I tried to forgive him. I know it was my fault, but the thing that made me feel best was blaming him. I think maybe he killed himself because of me. Daughter's picture was in the paper. Ever since I saw a picture in the paper, I've started thinking I could see her, out of the corner of my eye, like she's watching me. Crazy, right?
I'm fine. I'm worried. My pursuer in the hour, he's definitely military. I've developed a new skill to deal with him. He's measured in his approach, watching, testing. When he finally came for me, I wasn't ready. I think he underestimated me though, and that allowed me to escape. He didn't think I'd be able to just leave. Why do you think he's coming after me, Doctor? Oh, I think I might know. I think he's death, Doctor. I think I saved that old woman from burning to death in bed, and now he's coming after me to even the score. Do you think it could be death? He's hooded, but not death in the classical sense. I suppose there's no normal when you're talking about death. Perhaps it is death. I've done something good, and now I'm being punished for it. But why would it wait for me in the hour, though? Wouldn't it just come for me crossing the road? He led me to that old woman. I said there were tests. He was testing me, and I failed. He wanted me to leave her, to let the timeline play out. It's more of an old skill I'm bringing back to life. A while ago, when I was feeling pretty low, I teleported into this office to get some antidepressants. But last night, my pursuer approached me, drawing something from his jacket. I had nowhere to go. I remembered I could teleport, so I did, back home. I was as surprised as you are. I just imagined I was somewhere else, and there I was. Perhaps Dr. Decker was right. Think of something, and it becomes real, if you believe in it. But I'll only do it wisely. Imagine the mistakes you might make. Don't want to become one with the igneous layer too soon. I remember Dr. Decker would take a sneaky dram from a bottle he keeps in his desk. He probably thought I was too busy rambling to notice. But I'm a very astute rambler. I was one of Dr. Decker's first patients. I wasn't referred by anyone. My GP recommended I saw someone privately. I think he was just sick of listening to me complain about how little time I had during our 10-minute slot. Yes, that's David Castleford. I've no idea when it was taken. Shocking composition. I don't know anything about sleeping pills. Why would I want any? I want to stay awake for my extra hour, not sleep through it. Did I really? Well, I can't really remember saying anything like that. I didn't take the doctor's temazepam. I took the ones that Dr. Decker prescribed me. My head's in a strange place at the moment. It's difficult to remember everything. You're right. Sorry, I did come to the office once for an unscheduled visit. I forgot about that. I wrote a prescription out for myself and got it made up. Dr. Decker didn't have to know. I don't intend to imagine things at all. I only did it this time to avoid being killed. That pursuer is definitely onto me. I say he, but I couldn't see his face. It just had the build and size of a man. It felt like it was sucking the oxygen out of the air in front of me. I found it difficult breathing the closer he got to me. I suppose that's just fight or flight, an anxiety response. I saw Jessica across the street this morning. She waved, but I just crumbled. Ever since I took those photos, I haven't been able to face her. Do you think I should tell her about the photos, Doctor? I didn't think I should either. She'd hate me forever. Maybe when she next waves, I'll at least wave back. I stole a painting. There, I've said it. It was from the local gallery, Providence. I really like it, but I can't afford it. So I took it. It's a painting of a spider in a large web on the pendulum of a grandfather clock that's stuck at 3:15. The spider from the painting. I'd like to think it was me, like I was lying in wait and spinning some elaborate trap in my midnight hour. It's more likely that I'm just the fly. There's no fly in the painting. I think that's what I like about it. The spider has been so intent on spinning its web that it hasn't noticed there'll be nothing to eat. It's just that one thing, just the painting I've stolen recently. I think my new pursuer is unraveling me. Is it okay to steal things, Doctor? If I really like them? I thought you'd say that. I will do my best to refrain from it, but I can't promise anything. These sessions cost a lot of money, Doctor. I'm not just going to leave in the middle of one. But I can see you don't believe me. Do you really want me to teleport, Doctor? Blink, and you'll miss it.
Told you.